Alright, so now the electrical cables need to be routed back through, and this is where the plug that goes to the wall outlet passes through the back side of the planer. And these screws do have thread lock on, so I am going to put thread lock on them again. I'm using Loctite. The good thing with this cable is that because it was compressed previously, it actually will not be hard to determine where it's supposed to be. So right there is where it was compressed previously, so I can put that cable right back where it was. The cables will have to be adjusted some more. Go ahead and lock this cable. Should have shown it before I put it on, but this little crossbar that locks the cable in place, it has a little hump that goes up like this. The hump actually has to be facing down. Power cord is in place, so now what I have to do is slide this over. Alright, so the upper cover is sitting flat. Got the cables routed. Now I have to put them over here along this side and put this plate in that prevents the cables from coming out of place. Now what I need to do is get these little locks that go in here that keeps the cable from moving in or out, and so you clamp these on and then push it in, and it'll lock it in place. So to lock this in place, put this on just like this. And then place it in the hole. There we go. So both of those are locked in place now where they need to be. So now I'm going to put this cable guide in, and the screws that go on this require thread lock, Loctite. Wherever you see nuts and bolts with thread lock or Loctite, make sure you use thread lock or Loctite. Right there, those cables are sitting perfect. There should not be an issue. you want to make sure that these two tabs at the bottom are locked in when you're tightening these cross tip screws down. Otherwise, they won't hold in place properly. Alright, so cable guide in place, tabs locked in, cross tip screws with thread lock on them, or Loctite, tightened down to keep cables in place. These two long Allen bolts. And this is on the front panel. Don't go crazy on tightening these two Allen bolts down, because all you're going to do is drive the plastic and basically mushroom the plastic down here where it comes into contact with the metal. Just get it tight. Put the two cross tip screws on these two grounding wires right here, the green ones, and then I'm going to hook all this wiring up to the control panel. Alright, so I'll pass all these wires through the hole and then pass the circuit breaker through this hole, put the nut and little printed piece on it, and then hook the power switch up. Alright, so circuit breaker is in. Pass these wires through. Alright, so all the wires sticking out. Go ahead and hook these all back up. Hopefully I didn't rub the numbers off again. So this should definitely be 2. I got 3 and 4. That is 3. There are 3 screws that go in up here. I'm going to put those in so this front panel will stop falling off. There are 2 of these little flathead Allen screws that go into the front panel. One on the bottom right and one that goes over on the bottom left. So that's on. Now I have to put this material removal gauge plate on. You have to put it under the little red needle. And then there's 3 small Phillips screws that need to go in. This plate does adjust up and down. I think where it's at is where it needs to be. Maybe something I have to adjust once I start planing some wood again. All right, I'm going to put this knob back on. And this is the one that was a pain in the butt to get off. But for some reason, it's got a lot of rust corrosion on it and around it. Need to finish putting the power switch on. Put it back on. The bottom two can go on. Without any issue. I would just start at the bottom two, and then you have to put this other plate in here, and it locks into these notches here, and then you put your top screws in.
And don't go crazy tightening these down. It's all plastic.
So next I need to put the gauge, depth cutting gauge back on. Alright, so I'm going to put this depth cutting gauge on, and then this cap needs to go on the top here, and this little cutout right here needs to be facing forward when you put it on in order for it to go on properly. I'm not going to tighten it all the way down yet because I need to put these two bottom screws in. Alright, two bottom Phillips screws are tightened down. I can tighten down the top. And then put this piece back on. And those are both Phillips screws as well. Now I have to make some adjustments to this to make sure that it's accurate. Got 3 screws in at the top. Got the power switch on with the plate. 4 Phillips screws. Got the circuit switch back in with the nut that goes on here and the back plate that has the printing on it. Got the material removal gauge plate in, which may need to be adjusted to ensure it's more accurate. Got the switch back on, and this can't be adjusted until it's running, so I'll have to wait for that. And then I've got these 2 Allen screws in, and then also the depth cutting gauge is back on, and I've got this red plate here that's going to have to be adjusted because I can already tell it's not accurate. And there is a Allen screw up at the top and 2 Phillips screws down here, and then the 2 Phillips screws that hold this in as well. Put the fan chipper shroud back on. You have to pass it through, match it up, and then put these little clips on. And there are 3 of them. And those went on pretty easily that time, because they definitely do not come off easy or go on easy typically. And you have to put these 2 Phillips screws in here. Definitely want to be careful when you're putting that bottom one on. Don't get carried away and dive your hand into the blades. 3 clips on, 2 Phillips screws in. So that's done. Next is going to be the carrying handles. Need to go back on. Got to put these 4 long Allen bolts in on your handles. Alright, handles back on. Next I'm going to put these 2 side covers on, one over here and the one on the opposite side where the belt is. So there's 3 screws, or Allen, well, they're the T30 screws, and the wrench that comes with the planer you can use to tighten these down on both of these covers. Put this other side cover on, and the cover itself requires 4 T30 screws. Again, the wrench that came with the planer can be used on these. Put the crank handle on, and washer and the T30 screw. There are these 2 vents. One goes on the back side, one goes on the right side. The vent pieces have these little gates on them that lock it in place, and it's supposed to swing out like that, but don't be surprised when it doesn't, because sometimes they move and sometimes they don't. So it goes on just like that, and then should be able to just swing the gate over. The other vent goes right here, and hopefully it looks like it's gonna work. Maybe. Can't tell whether it's on, not on. There are 2 more screws that need to go into the back. Alright, I have the DeWalt DW735 planer put back together. Had a minor hiccup with putting some Phillips screws in the wrong direction. Fixed that. Luckily I didn't have to disassemble everything to fix it, but that is fixed. If I did not cover this in the beginning, the main reason why I did this is to show others how to break the planer down, then also show how to rebuild the motor, because that was the issue with mine, is the motor burned out. And I could have sent it to DeWalt, and being that I was 2 years 5 months into a 3-year limited warranty, the only thing they would have determined is that if I sent this to them, they would have determined that it was not a manufacturer's defect. So it would be anything that happened to it when I send it to them would be basically my fault. So it's an automatic standard $309, which is an overhaul fee, and they would fix that problem and any other problems with the planer. But the other thing is that they would charge you, I believe it's $42.95 for shipping. I believe they only ship one way, but I'm not sure if that changes, because on their website they say they do not charge for shipping DeWalt products to DeWalt. So I don't know if they only charge you one way, or if they determine that you're at fault for the damage to the planer, that they're going to turn around and charge you the $42.95 both ways. So either way, I saved myself quite a bit of money, because it would have been $309 plus $42.95 and whatever other fees there might be. I bought all the parts that I needed, and shipping included was a total of $144.95. I saved quite a bit of money doing this on my own. I've tested the motor, but tomorrow I'll test the planer, determine whether it's fully functional or not. And I hope after doing all this work that it is fully functional once again, so I can start planing some wood again. All right, so I've got my planer set up to shoot out the backside of my shed. We'll shoot the wood chips out the backside of my shed. I'm just going to run this piece of treated pine through it just to get an idea, and I'll put it on the minimal setting just to see what it actually does. Not bad. I think I'm back in operation with this planer. You see all the wood chips down there. Did a pretty good job. I've got it in number 2 dimensioning, and it's actually pretty smooth. It was like 1/32 is what I had it set for. So not bad.